Well, it's time now for Media Watch, and for that I'm joined here in the studio by Emma James. Now, Emma, you are going to start off with a look at how really the fall of Aleppo is being followed, being reflected online.
Yes, absolutely. Many people really looking for answers, wondering what happens next for Syria. But for those who it's a personal story, it is a moment of reflection, really. This tweet, typical of that. These are the last moments in Aleppo. People are displaced far away from their homes. Our souls remain there. We will miss our city so much. Yes, these people are escaping from a war zone, and you could understand that they might be happy about that. But of course, they're going into a very uncertain future. Evacuation, just one step on a very new, frightening journey for them as they leave Aleppo. And it reminds us that this story is certainly far from simple and far from over too. This cartoon, again, a very simple image, just the words, memories of Aleppo, and all that remains are blood and rubble, and really a very sad reflection of what's come to pass in Aleppo. Others looking at what lessons we can learn, and The Economist has this article, The Lessons from Aleppo's Tragic Fate. It does, though, seem to be less about lessons and more about apportioning blame. They talk about the criticism of international reactions, including Britain's parliament voting against taking even limited military action after use of chemical weapons was known to have happened in Syria. They say that much of Europe failed when it came to welcoming refugees, but they say that the most blame should be placed on Barack Obama. The quote from the article is, "America's president has treated Syria as a trap to be avoided. His smug prediction that Russia will be bogged down in a quagmire there has proved a historic misjudgment." Now, another interesting take on this one comes from the Canadian broadcasting company CBC. This from their opinion writer Neil MacDonald. They say that the fall of Aleppo is not humanity's disgrace. There's little the West could have done, he says. And he's not trying to be cold-hearted. He goes on to say that this is very difficult to write. He feels deep sorrow for the suffering of Syrian civilians, but humanity did not destroy Aleppo, he says. He praises Canada and Europe for what they did in welcoming refugees, and ends by saying America, given the hell it caused over there, might consider doing the same.
All right, well, let's move on now to U.S. President-elect Donald Trump. No, he is constantly getting plenty of attention, it needs to be said. But this is not just over the claims of Russian meddling in the U.S. election. Tell us.
No, absolutely. A lot of cartoonists today are particularly obsessed, really, with the idea that Russia had a hand in the U.S. elections. This one, typical from the Times, the UK newspaper, where you've got Putin sitting inside the Russian doll of Donald Trump, and he's got his Apple Mac in his hand, and it says hacked emails from Russia with love. And this, another one, a similar theme. The idea that Russian hackers helped me win the election is ridiculous, right? Says Donald Trump. And Putin is there saying, absolutely, comrade. By the way, what is dress code for inaugural ball? Therefore, hinting at their sort of continued friendship. But elsewhere, it's another Twitter feud that has people talking about Donald Trump. This time, he has set his vengeful sights on the editor of Vanity Fair. Has anyone looked at the really poor numbers of Vanity Fair magazine? Way down, Big Trouble Dead, Graydon Carter, the editor, no talent, will be out. Now, this all came about because of a restaurant review, would you believe? The Vanity Fair reviewed the Trump Grill and says it could be the worst restaurant in America. They talk about the gold label burger, saying it was a sad little meat thing sitting in the centre of a massive, rapidly staling brioche bun, hiding its shame under a slice of melted orange cheese. The writer recalls once eating a roasted pig's eye that was given to her by a well-known chef, and said that that tasted better than this particular burger. So it is a very, very strong review, and very damning, shall we say. But people are very angry about his reaction and just think it's inappropriate given what his position in the world is now. God's nightgown, says this Twitter user, you have nothing else to do but attack if someone hurts your tender snowflake feelings. This Twitter user says the fact that Trump would rather troll Vanity Fair than get briefed on Aleppo is sociopathic. And this reaction too looks like now I'll have to subscribe to Vanity Fair. Trump might single-handedly save print journalism, because of course he is criticising many different publications, the New York Times in particular, the failing New York Times, as he likes to call it, and lots of people showing their support for those journalists by actually subscribing. What's interesting about Vanity Fair, though, is that they are intent on keeping this going, and it is a decades-long feud that's gone on between Graydon Carter and Donald Trump. These are just some of the front pages that were on Spy magazine when he was in charge there. And back in November, he actually penned this article, Steel Traps and Short Fingers. And he said he started referring to Trump as a short-fingered vulgarian 25 years ago, and says he still to this day gets photographs sent to him by Donald Trump where the man himself has written on it in gold Sharpie, "See, they're not so short," and drawn little circles around the fingers and the hands. So this is a feud that is going to continue.
We'll have to see priorities. All right. Well, it is that time of year. We are coming up, of course, to the end of 2016. We've got a lot of media outlets taking a look back at everything that has happened over the past 12 months.
Yes, absolutely. And the US comedian Stephen Colbert has done his year-end review in incomparable style, I think it has to be said, rattling through the many reasons why 2016 has been seen as apocalyptic by so many. Let's take a quick look at a clip.
Fighting for Black Lives, Ryan locked his hair dyed, Prince of Bowie demised, Leonard Cohen died, nasty woman Brangelina Hiddles with Megyn Kelly news, fake, Samsung boom, this year's idiotic and chaotic, but the end's in sight, right? It's the end of the year as we know it, it's the end of the year as we know it, it's the end of the year as we know it, I feel fine.
So there you go, a reworking of REM's End of the World as we know it, with Michael Stipe there looking none too impressed about having to say that we were all going to be fine. But I think the idea is whatever happens next, we will get through it.
Certainly, that's what we all hope for. All right, well, thank you very much, Emma, for a look at the latest on Media Watch. We do appreciate it.